Welcome to the WWIA podcast. Today, WWIA founder and CEO John McDaniel introduces us to his longtime friend and a remarkable supporter of the foundation, Mr. Tom Schenk. Tom is a former Army Ranger, an avid fisherman, and owner of Chippewa River Custom Rod Company. In 2002, realizing the city life wasn't for him, Tom headed off to northern Wisconsin, stopping at the junction of the Chippewa and Flambeau Rivers, the heart of muskie country. He found himself owning a small tavern and building custom fishing rods, and continues building some of the finest rods available today. Without further ado, let's join John and Tom now.
Hi, this is John McDaniel. I'm the founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation, and this is the Honor, Connect, and Heal podcast. And today, here we are in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, and I've got with me a very special guest, somebody who I'm very close with, who I've known for, eons. His name's Tom Schenk, and Tom and I first met in the Rangers, and we're at Camp Hackett right now. We just finished a run out in the woods for grouse. We were grouse hunting. But Tom is a very interesting man, and I'm going to let him introduce himself here in a second, but I'll set it up for you. Tom was in the Rangers about the same time, or at the same time I was, back in the early 90s? Early 90s?
Early 90s.
Yeah.
I was attached, actually got out of RIP early, the indoctrination program early, because of the kickoff of the invasion of Panama.
Right.
So I only did 2 weeks instead of the full 3.
Right on. So at the time in Panama, I was with the 4-6 Infantry 5th ID at the time, and so when Panama kicked off, I was already in country, and then we did the invasion, there in 89, December of 1989, as I recall.
December 20th.
That's right. I remember thinking CNN had just started. Okay, so there was the first, global news network, if you will. And I remember thinking to myself when some of the dust settled right around Christmas, or actually when the shooting started, I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if CNN's catching this.
Where's Wolf?
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so to set the stage a little bit further, Tom, I was in the Florida Keys, and Tom and I did not know each other in the Rangers. I was in Charlie Company, 3rd to 75th, as a weapons platoon leader, and it wouldn't be uncommon for a platoon leader to not know every enlisted guy in the battalion, or let alone the company, let alone the battalion. So here I am in the Florida Keys. We're now retired. Fast forward the tape to, I want to say, probably at like 08?
It was in the beginning.
07, 08, maybe the 07. Tom was the first guy, the first person in all of Wisconsin, and I'm an old Wisconsin boy, hail from here. You were the first person that ever called me and said, I want to help you. That's what... And the story goes, and you can chime in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember very distinctly, I was standing on my porch on Sugarloaf Shores in the Florida Keys, overlooking my backyard, which was water, and enjoying the day. I think I was burning something on the grill. My phone rings, I pick it up, and it's a 715, which I recognize as the Northwoods of Wisconsin phone number. And so I pick it up and I answer it. Hello. And this guy on the other end, it turns out to be Tom, says, hey, my name's Tom Schenk. Are you the John McDaniel that was in, Charlie Company 375?
No, I didn't actually know you were in Charlie Company 375.
Okay. But you asked me if I was in the Rangers.
Because it was a customer of mine. At the time, I had owned a tavern in northern Wisconsin, and he had brought me in the Wisconsin Outdoor News article. If you remember what year that came out in, that would have been the year that I called.
I think it was 08. Yeah.
Then it was
so 08. You saw that. That was the
I saw that, but I had no idea which battalion you were in or at what point in time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you asking me who my sergeant major was, who my company commander. I mean, we went through the whole thing, and I'm like, all right, dude, we got it. We're there about the same time. But since then, you've helped the foundation tremendously. Tom has brought. He's brought a lot of goodness to the Northwoods here for the foundation. I mean, things like, believe it or not, that make a big difference, like fishing all winter long and saving a bunch of panfish and bringing them here to camp for the heroes. And he's been guiding with his dog Pippa. He's a master rod builder of all things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, welcome to the program, Tom. Thanks for all that you've done for the foundation. And we just got done with a grouse hunt, and we're hunting behind Pippa, who is Tom's dog, 6-year-old English setter, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so pretty dog. And so the heroes are here. Tom, you live in Holcomb.
Yep.
Yeah, and so. Anyway, you owned an establishment, Old Bogey's Bar and Grill, and now you've turned
just bar. It was no grill. Yeah, it was old-fashioned bar.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does an old-fashioned Northwoods bar mean?
It was old-fashioned, standing timber building. Yeah. Originally built in 28. When I bought it, they at least had a wood floor in it, but before they didn't.
Pool table.
Yeah. Google Plywood Palace.
Yeah.
And then think along those lines. It's like one step up from that place.
Lots of character.
Well,
you're a muskie fisherman.
Yes.
And Tom over the years has provided. Tom's connected like Legos, so all these guys that are ate up from the ground up with muskie fishing, and I'm talking fly fishermen for muskie. You've turned us on to them, and we fished with our heroes, for years on the Chippewa River, and ended up, sticking a lot of muskies with fly rods. And people go, I used to tell them, hey, we're going to go out there with these combat wounded guys, and we're going to fish the Chippewa River with 10-weight fly rods. And fly fish for muskie, and pretty much everybody's going to catch one. And everybody like, no, you're not. I'm like, well, yeah, we are, because you guys know when it's on, when the fish are biting, and we would get a call and we'd show up with the heroes, and boom, pretty much everybody'd catch one, which is quite an accomplishment, right?
Yeah, it was a good run with.
Yeah,
it's fun when we're coming down and doing that still.
Yeah. It was neat. It was neat times, right? Those are.
Yeah.
But you were the first guy. You get credit for being the first guy who ever reached out to me and said I wanted to help. Old Wisconsin guy who happened to also be in the Rangers with me, and that's pretty cool. So tell us about your business. You're a rod builder. Tell us about your business.
The name of the business is Chippewa River Custom Rod. I build anything from ice fishing rods to musky fly rods. Most of my business is musky fly rods, but I build spinning rods for trolling. I've built saltwater rods.
You built rods for me. My boys fish your rods. I fish your rods. Tony McCann fishes your rods. Pretty much everybody I know is fishing your rods because your rods are superior. And they have great action, and you've got a heck of a warranty on them too, don't you?
Yeah. If people have issues with them, just send them back. I usually if it's a defect, there's no cost to it. Otherwise, I redo it for cost of the parts and return shipping to people. It's really been a booming thing. I gave up the bar business 2 years ago after the COVID hit. I closed it down right when COVID first started, and then I reopened the first summer in northern Wisconsin, and it was a madhouse.
Yeah.
All the cities had their regulations in place, and northern Wisconsin was like the Wild West.
Yeah.
And then I didn't turn the air conditioning on. I left the doors wide open, and then in the fall, there was a huge uptick in cases, and I was booming with the fishing rods. I was doing that on the side, and when people started getting sick, I just cut the bar completely out, and all I do now is just build custom fishing rods, which is hard to believe that can actually be a profession.
Right. Pretty cool. Yeah. No, I mean, you the rods I have commissioned you to do, and we quite a few over the years, some of which we do an auction, some of which are in my personal collection. they're phenomenal. And if there's anybody out there that's listening to this that wants a custom rod built, get a hold of Tommy. Look up Chippewa Custom Rods, right? What's your website?
crcustomrod.com. And if you don't see a rod to meet your specifications on there, feel free to call.
Yeah.
I can't list everything.
Yeah.
I run the business myself. I package everything. I order everything.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that touches them.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you got and
Awesome.
exactly how it was built. And if you have any issues, it's just me, baby. It's just me that does it. So
I wanted to ask you, I may have asked you this before, but I'm kind of old school on things, and I like, the cork handles,
Mm-hmm.
And
a full cork handle.
I do.
Not the split.
Exactly.
grip.
That's right. And I always thought, when they started to go away from the, full cork handles, that, they were doing that, for, some reason, some specific reason. And I say, what is this new technology? Like, no, cork's expensive.
Yeah, cork's expensive. Most of
So
it.
there's cheap Charlie in the rods, right?
Yeah, they cut down the cost of making them, but then up the price on it because it looks cooler.
Right.
But actually, cork is most quality cork. It originates out of Portugal.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a bark off a very specific oak tree that's peeled once every 7 years.
Really?
And the land values of a lot of the cork plantations were worth more for development than they were continuing to take cork down.
Yeah.
So down went the oak trees, so up went the price of cork.
Right.
And that's why you see much more synthetic stuff and the split grip stuff. Right now, a cork grip on a 15-inch cork grip on a musky rod, retail price, if you were to buy it from, like, say, Mudhole, it's probably right around $70 just for the cork. Yeah, so that's why a lot of the cork is gone now, and you see a lot of split grip stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just an economy thing.
You're right. So I'm gonna go there. In our pre-chat, I said we just go where and talk about whatever comes to our mind and just go with it. So, one of my favorite stories about you is that your story when you tell the story about being, I don't know if you had just got up here or how long you'd been up here, but you were fishing on the Chippewa River and you landed a pike.
Oh,
I know. And so I'll set it up a little bit, and then I'll run it over to you. But as I recall the story, here's Tom out there by himself, and it was in a
canoe.
In a canoe. Okay, so you hook this big pike, and for those that don't know, pike up here they're similar to muskie. Muskie a little bit bigger, but the northern pike up here is a predatory fish.
Mine was a runt. It was a small fish.
It was a small fish. Okay.
It was about 20 inches. It wasn't a big one.
Okay, so it's 20 inch, but still, they got it's got a mouthful of teeth. It's a real predator, and typically when they go after other fish. The big muskies even eat ducks. But small ducks, I suppose. But anyway, so you catch this fish. What were you using? You remember? It had treble hooks on it.
And treble hooks. A Hendon Tiny Torpedo.
Of course, you would know.
Yes.
So this catches this fish, brings it in the boat, and pike, for those that don't know, they're kind of slimy. And this is a hot summer day?
Yes.
Okay, and in northern Wisconsin, folks, also, this place is not for the weak nor faint of heart. It's like, it's like the sign out front of Ranger School, not for the weak nor faint of heart.
I think they pretty much brought the settlers here in like late September.
Yeah.
And when they dropped them off, they took their wagon wheels.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think
nobody would stay.
They would have just passed through.
Yeah. So you up here in Wisconsin, you're dealing in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. Not only are you dealing with fairly extreme environmental and climatological things. Okay, you're dealing with deer flies, horse flies, ticks, mosquitoes, and they can all be pretty brutal depending on the time of year. Right now, it's gorgeous out there. It's early fall. There's no bugs. It's perfect. But that's not the case in the summertime. And so these pike are kind of slimy to begin with. So you get this thing in the boat, and you get hooked.
Yeah, he had taken the back treble hook, and it was just like at the tip of his mouth.
So he wasn't even that well hooked.
It wasn't very well hooked.
Okay. So And for most folks, you're going to, getting a treble hook that's past the barb out of any fish's mouth is sometimes a little bit challenging. But if you're doing it with a slimy pike in a canoe, well, you should be careful. And oh, by the way, they're kind of pissed off that they got a hook and they're not in the water anymore. And they shake their heads and it's hard to hold on to them when they're like that.
Well, yeah, and I could sense that it was it was tensing up. I could feel it tensing up, and I'm like, this thing's gonna kick. So I'm like, I throw him over. So I'm going to throw him overboard is what I was trying to do.
Oh, with the hook still in him?
With the hook still in him.
Just because you wanted to just let him chill out. He was too green.
Yeah,
he was too green.
Let him chill.
Yeah, and then deal with him.
Well, so I go to throw him, and dang it, first treble hook in the thumb, and it's past the barb. Natural reaction is to grab the fish. Well, I grab the fish, and my other thumb from the other hand ends up on the same treble hook.
On the same hook.
On the same hook. So I got both thumbs on one treble hook.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
And then the pike on the rear treble hook.
And he's still very much alive.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a tactical pause here for a second. I'm going to tell the audience out there. Okay, check this out. I'm going to set this up. The barb on a hook. Okay, so I'm sure all the guys that are sportsmen and gals get it. There's a barb on the hook. On every hook, and unless you clip it off, which some fly fishermen do, it makes it easier to get out and not so traumatic for the fish. But typically, the only way you really hook a big fish like that is by getting them past the barb. And once you get past that barb, it's damn near impossible to get it out unless you got a set of pliers. You got to work at it. You can, it's hard, right? Because their mouths are hard. They got bony mouths.
Oh,
teeth.
You're talking in the fish.
In the fish,
yeah,
not in your finger. Finger's fleshy, and it's still a son of a gun. Like, I can't imagine the pain.
Well, you'd be surprised how far human skin can stretch when you're trying to pull a barb out.
Okay, so you got both thumbs stuck on the same treble hook with a slimy pike in what, July, August? What is this? In the summertime?
July, August.
So
it's hot.
It's hot.
Deer flies.
Like 80, 90.
It's
hot.
80, not to over exaggerate, but it's hot in
It's
the middle
hot.
of the river.
On the middle of the river in a canoe with a slimy pike stuck. Both thumbs stuck to the same treble hook past the barb.
Yes.
With deer flies attacking you.
Well, yeah.
That you can't swat because your thumbs, because
I still got the fish attached. Yeah, so I can't swing at them. And you'd be surprised how long it takes when a full-grown human being is standing on a pike, squatting, that it takes approximately 20 minutes before you'll die. So I'm squatting in the back.
Before the fish will die?
Yeah.
You're trying to kill him because
otherwise he's going to flop. So
But
I'm standing on him. I got him on my feet, and I'm basically squatting at this point, basically doing a deep knee bend for 20 minutes. In a canoe.
Trying not to tip over.
Dude,
Dude, if you tipped that thing over, you could have damn near drowned, right? How are you going to swim with your thumb stuck to a pike?
Yeah.
On the Chippewa River that's flowing.
So, yeah.
And deep.
Yeah, there's places where it's deep enough you could go under, and it wouldn't be good. But yeah, so after 20 minutes, the fish finally stops flopping, but I'm still kind of screwed. Yeah. Because I'm probably 4 miles downstream to where
your car
my car
and there's not folks, there's
no cabin.
There's no cabins on large stretches. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you're in the middle of nowhere. And
with a dead pike.
Now with a dead pike on
stuck to both your thumbs.
Yes, and getting chewed by deer fly, and
And the pain's just got to be brutal.
Well, and you got to navigate down the river too, John. So when you do bump into the shore or shallow, you have to push off. So you got one leg out of the boat.
You're trying to get you're trying to get help. You're trying to get out of there.
I'm trying to get to some cabin that there's somebody
that can then help you.
Yes. Eventually I would hit my place, but there's still nobody there. I can't even dial my cell phone.
Okay, so So I'm sorry.
It is an embarrassing story, but it is classic.
It is classic.
A lot of people get hooked past the barb, but very few of them will get both thumbs hooked past the barb at the same time.
When I listened to, I can't remember which comedian it was, but he was talking about the recipe for humor, what makes things funny, besides the delivery and being clever. But
self-deprivation.
He said that too. But he said tragedy plus time equals funny.
Yep.
And now we can laugh about it because it's not happening. But at the time, there's nothing funny about this. This is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. And those that don't know, deer flies are relentless. And when you have a pike or any fish, mostly pike because they're kind of slimy and they stink. Those deer,
they know it.
Oh, they know it, and they're coming at you, and they just want to bite you, and they take your blood too, and it hurts.
Yeah, and they tend to focus. Like if one gets you, they tend to focus on that same area. So yeah, it's repetitive blows. So
here you are in this canoe floating down the Chippewa with a pike stuck to both thumbs. Slimy pike. It's 80, 90 degrees. You're trying to work your way down this river, and what finally happens?
I finally came upon this cabin, and I knew the gentleman because I owned a bar at the time, so I knew a lot of people in the area, and it was somebody that lived on the river full time. And I stopped and I kind of shoved my way over to shore and kind of kicked to try to paddle with one foot over the side of the boat. Mind you, my legs have never hurt that bad in all my life. Even at Ranger Battalion, I don't think I ever had that sort of workout from squatting like that for so long. It was just excruciating. Yeah. And the first thing he says is I'm yelling.
Your neighbor's coming to the rescue. He sees you.
Yeah, and he's coming and he sees me. And what's wrong? He comes running down there and he sees it and he's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Do you need some whiskey? That was the first words out of his mouth.
Of course. Right? Because it'd be like getting shot by an arrow or something, but it was just brutal.
We go up to his place and we're looking for a side cutter to, he got the fish off and we took the lure off, but my thumbs are still stuck together. So we're going to look for a side cutter to try to cut this.
And you didn't pass out at any point. I'll tell you what, I don't know that I could have done
we're trying to figure out how to get because once you get a barb in, it's not going to come out. And one of them was you
got to push it through.
You got to push it through. But one of them was into the knuckle and it was pointed down, so I couldn't turn it and push it through.
Brutal, dude.
So we can't find his side cutters. We were going to side cut it, and then I was just going to go up to the hospital and have him take it out. So he doesn't have any side cutters. So we go to the next neighbor downstream. Do you know what his first words are? Ooh, do you need some whiskey? He had a side cutter. I went to town, and it was amazing. I got to the hospital. I'm thinking, oh boy, here's going to be some cool surgical tools. You know what comes out? Craftsman. Literally, Craftsman pliers.
Oh, they use to pull it out.
To pull it out, yeah.
After they numb you up.
After they numbed you up and all that, yeah.
Wow.
Then it wasn't too bad, but it was an experience. I don't recommend it.
Yeah. One treble hook in any part of your body is bad.
Even if there's no fish on it.
Even if there's no fish, it's bad. But when you start adding getting both hands, handcuffed, insult to injury.
The Chippewa River handcuff, that's what I call it. The Chippewa River handcuff.
The Chippewa River handcuff. Wow.
Yeah. It's an awful experience.
Well, listen, we're super happy to have you here in camp, and today, like most years, you ran Pippa on the rough grouse and the woodcock for the heroes. We got 3 combat wounded heroes in the camp.Tonight's our community dinner. The heroes are out deer hunting, and Tom and I and Jake went out on a little walk with Pippa here, and we what did we end up with? 2? We got
2, and I think we had gone earlier with the heroes, and we got 2 or 3 then.
Woodcock?
Also.
Are they all woodcock?
All woodcock.
Okay, so we got Jake shot one, I shot one. We got 2 of the heroes. I think each got one. So we got 4 or 5 woodcock today.
Yep.
And for those that don't know, woodcock is a very interesting critter. It is a game bird. It's a migratory game bird with a reticulating beak, and it is a beak. It's a bill, okay, and it's about their bill is about as long as a pencil, okay, or a standard pen, I would say, and the reticulating in the sense of what they do is they primarily eat grubs and worms, and they'll find some soft dirt, in the forest or along a trail where worms might be, and they'll stick their beak down into soft dirt, and then it opens up like that. Like it's almost like if you were to pinch your fingers together, your thumb and your index finger, and then begin to pry them apart at the tip. That's reticulating, and so it's really an interesting critter. They're not great table fare.
And they're not a large bird.
And they're not a large. That's right. I would say it's about the size of a robin, maybe a little bit bigger, with this funny little bill. But they're migratory. And last night, Jake said he saw like 300 of them or something out there on the property. So they're only here for a short period of time. They're in season, and so we're out there, hunting them, and we each got one. And they're just super cool, and we're gonna marinate them, and we'll do probably some woodcock jalapeno poppers, tomorrow, with the heroes, share the bounty with them. But interesting. So let me ask you, Tom, you what is it? I mean, what do you think it is, in your humble opinion, about, the foundation and the work that we do, like in the outdoor sporting arena with combat wounded? What about that? What do you have to say about that? I mean, you've seen it, you've worked with these guys. Here we are. You don't know them, I don't know them, and we get to know them, but they show up here. You come every year. And you know what this program's all about. I mean, what do you have to say about it? What strikes you about it that is good?
What's really struck me, besides the organization itself and how it handles itself, is the connection that the heroes make amongst each other.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really know each other when they show up. They usually don't.
That's right.
But it seems like a lot of them remain in contact for quite some time after. They develop new friends. And it's not even just amongst the heroes. It's also with the volunteers and stuff like that. Like, for instance, last year, was it last year with the gentleman with the bear hunt? Didn't get one during the official camp,
right?
But
he passed up. He passed up
a beautiful bear, which
bear.
The other hero killed.
That's right. He was waiting. He was waiting for a nicer bear. That's right.
But I do believe that one of the local individual volunteers up here invited him back.
That's right.
To stay, and he was
successful. Had the bear tag.
Because he had the bear tag, and he came back and
he did it with his wife.
Yeah,
that's right.
I didn't know he was with his wife, but I knew that he came back to finish the tag up. So
he did.
They even make connections outside of the organizations with the volunteers that they connect with.
So we're sitting there at breakfast this morning. The guys were out goose hunting, and they just crushed the geese yesterday. Today was a little bit more of a bluebird day. They got 3 or 4, I think, today. But yesterday they limited out by 7:15. They were done goose hunting Canadian geese, and did very well thanks to our local guides. I mean, that's the other thing this community does that's absolutely amazing. And we've got a great chunk of property here. But if you ask me, where are the geese? I'm like, they're out in the fields, but I know which field, I don't know. These guys are out there scouting. These locals, supporters of ours, are our teammates, if you will, are out there scouting for these geese. And they know exactly where they're going to be, and they've already gained access to the farmer's property with permission to set up when we get here. It's absolutely incredible, yeah. But so we get back from the hunt this morning. They showed up a little bit late, and I made them a nice breakfast. We sat down, and there's a master. One of them's a master gunnery sergeant, master guns in the Marine Corps, and he looks like he's like 25. Really, seriously.
The one guy he's been in like 21 years.
Yeah, fast burner. Yeah, he does not look like he's 40. I don't think he is.
Maybe that's just because we're getting much older, John.
It could be. But nonetheless, they both look like miniature Dolph Lundgrens. But so we're sitting there after breakfast, and the Travis the Marine says, along with Mike, who's Mike, the other hero that's here, one of the other Purple Heart heroes, is a former Marine scout sniper who turned Navy corpsman and now is a doctor. he's a medical doctor in the Navy. So the Navy went to send him to school. He's getting his PhD, and he's a full-fledged doctor. And those two didn't know each other, but of course now they're on the vent, and I know this guy, that guy, how that goes. But you're right. I mean, they make instant connections, and then connections with the local supporters and community. And tonight's a community dinner. They'll do some more bonding. But that's what they said in the truck. They were saying, what about this is so special? They're not even here for 4 days. They've, had these great opportunities. They've hunted rough grouse, the woodcock, geese. They've hunted for deer. And tomorrow morning, we're going to go fish for muskie. I would venture to say this is one of the very few places on the planet where you can do pursue all 5 of those, various game species and fish for world-class muskie, and do all of that in 3 or 4 days. It's pretty incredible. But that all aside, what Master Gun said was, Travis said, it's really here we go off to war. He's got like 9 combat tours, been wounded a couple times. He's like, here we go off to war, been all over the world, back again. And we come back here, and people we don't even know are opening their homes. They're providing us, access to their properties. They're cooking food for us, and it's all just to say thank you. And he said, "That's the America I fought for. That's why I went off and did what I did." And it takes every now and again. I've got to go back and remind myself of that. Unplug from what I'm doing, and go out at an event like this. And to reset and recognize once again why it is that I did what I did. And it's for great Americans like those that live up here, who are bending over backwards essentially to thank them for what they did. The war is not forgotten, we've pulled out of Afghanistan after 20 years, and that's kind of a sore subject that we won't get into. But here they are welcomed, and I think that's a big part of what makes this work, and what brings them back is to basically remind themselves that what they did was valued. And I think it's a big part of it.
Well, I think a lot of the local individuals have, because of how well you've run the organization as well, have remained with it forever, and it's actually grown. I don't know how it is on other events you do, because I'm only really familiar with this event. But I mean, all these people come together for this organization, but I think a lot of that comes through word of mouth. Like I brought a lot of people into it, and I'm sure the other people that first started out brought more people into it because of how well it's been run and how much of the proceeds actually go to the events rather than to the overhead expenses of the organization. That's been one thing that I was very impressed about it. Compared to most other organizations. So I have to pat you on the back for that.
Well, I appreciate that. We do, very much so. Yeah, like 90% of our, 90 cents on the dollar goes directly to support the mission set. So we run the administrative side with 10%, which is, that's hard to do. You're a business owner. I mean, the lights have to be paid. We don't pay taxes. That's one break we got. We don't have to pay taxes on.
But you do have to file the taxes. You could probably spend 10% almost on filing.
Well,
the taxes
it's a funny thing. We have accountants.
Yeah.
We have. I'm not an accountant. You don't want me. I mean, I can't do the books. See, and you got to have professional people doing the books. Now, you can't get a volunteer to do your books. You might for maybe a month, but this is something that has to happen every month. And then you got to file your 990 with the the IRS, and blah 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 blah. And oh, by the way, you have to have an audit, an independent audit. They don't do that for free. So there's lots of things that happen, like this podcast. Here we are, running our gums, but when we're done and this thing goes back into post production, You're not going to get a volunteer. We get guys give us breaks. Hey, you're a charity. I'll knock off 10%. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to run a business on 10%. But thanks to great volunteers across the country, and I appreciate the comment there. We certainly do try hard to do the right thing, but really at the end of the day, like I say at our guide school with our guides, I say people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. You get but at the same time, if you're you and you're cranking out a great rod, they don't have to know you. Mm-hmm. But they get this rod in their hand and it works it works great. Something happens to it. They, something, you catch it in a car door or something like that. And, hey man, this is what happened. Yeah, I'll fix it. They get to know you maybe because you're a small enterprise, but they begin to trust you. They're trusting your product because of the way it performs. We don't provide a product, we provide a service. This is what we do. It's our business, sort of thing. So everything, it's a value chain, right? So Karina, they talk to, Karina, who's your hero engagement specialist, and they she chats them up and they get to know her, and then their next interaction's probably with the guide and then the host, and at the end of the day, I think they sit back after they go back home to their to wherever they come from, and they probably look back on this thing, I hope, and say, that was well handled. I had a great time. I met some great people, and there's a lot of value there, and it's helped me a lot, and that's the whole, honor, connect, heal. That's where we came up with that. But anyway, so is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered, Tom?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
This is your chance to stick me on, to really stick me with something if you want.
Well, no, we won't stick you with anything too bad, John. I think, though, you might have commanded me during at your time at Ranger Battalion, just because John was weapons platoon leader, and I was a 60 gunner in another platoon. Most people probably don't understand how it works,
That's
but
right.
when the Rangers hit objective, the 60 gunners peel off from their squads and their platoons and go under the direction of the platoon, weapons platoon. So I would have worked under you, but I don't know how directly you were with operations on objective.
Oh, I'll tell you one. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll tell the story real quick. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind, of course, our boss was a guy by the name of Steve Townsend, he just retired as a 4-star general, and probably the best leader I ever worked for. And so he's company commander, he's a captain at the time, and I'm a lieutenant. And he was just masterful with his plans and how he devised operations. I always just really admired, because the way he would attack the problem set, I always thought was really brilliant, and it was always a solution set that I sort of wished that I had thought of, And so what he decided to do, and this is one of the times that maybe we did work together, closely, was he, and maybe you'll remember this, I'm just trying to remember, I actually have a schematic of the drawing, because what we did is we did an airborne operation, which was pretty standard, and then followed by an air assault to a landing zone, followed by an infiltration through the night, right, and then set up on this objective. And what he did was he gave he took all of the M60s, and we had Carl Gustavs, the M60 recoilless rifles. Remember those dudes? Mm-hmm. And the mortars. Okay, because as the weapons PL, I had the 60 millimeter mortars. I had. So he took all the heavy weapons and gave them to me. He said, "You're going to go on this high ground, and you're going to set up a position with all of the machine guns in this company, all of the Carl Gustavs, all of the recoilless rifles, all of the mortars, and you're going to pound that objective, okay, until I tell you to stop. And then you're going to shift from that objective as we're assaulting, okay? So this is carefully orchestrated live fire deal, real bullets. So do you remember? Is this any of this? I know it's probably it's a long time.
I don't remember the exact one, but
there's lots of them.
I was always surprised by how close they would lay fire in while they were coming across the objective before our leaders had us shift fire.
That's right. And we did it at night.
At night.
And so what Townsend said to me, and of course, as a machine gunner, you'll know this. There are different rates of fire. Okay, and I'm just breaking. I'm going to hurt my head thinking back to there's cyclical, there's rapid, and sustained. I got all three of them right there off the top of my head.
You beat me.
Okay, so those are three different rates of fire that you can have a machine gun. Either 3 to 6 night round, but pause.
And then another gun picks up.
Exactly. So
there's never a low end fire. It's just the number of guns firing
precisely
at a certain point in time.
So right. We got all these machine guns on this hilltop or in this position, support by fire position, and the rest of the company's down in this lowland waiting for us to to start fire. So the mortars start hitting it, the machine guns start hitting it, the Carl Gustav start hitting it, and it's like Christmas, man. It's lit up. And then Townsend wants to practice, and he told me this. It wasn't a surprise thing. He told me, he said, I want you to control the rates of fire. So when I say cyclical, I want you to go to cyclical. When I say rapid, and he's like, I want to hear the difference. And you need to be able to hear and control that. And I'm like, Roger that, sir. And so here I am in this fighting position on this hilltop with all this firepower for the first time in my life. And having to really consider, how am I going to do that? How am I going to, with all that's going on at night, it's like behind a machine gun.
Yeah,
you're not hearing it.
Hearing
You're not hearing much, and that's why you got, assistant gunner right there to help you out, and a squad leader and everything else. But yeah, so anyway, I won't go further into it, but I thought it was just brilliant. And we're all under night vision devices. So here I am under nods.
And back in the day, those were not the best when there was a lot of gunfire. Yeah, when there was a lot of gunfire, I remember they whited out quite a bit.
That's right.
They would white out back then.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, wow, great times. Well, listen, Tom, I want to thank you here publicly for one, serving our country, okay, and for two, continuing your service and all that you've done for the foundation, and most importantly for the combat wounded. You provide a very, very valuable service and a very, very valuable opportunity that otherwise would never happen, and that's hunting these amazing upland game birds with a highly trained and wonderful bird dog, Pippa, and we thank you for that, and your friendship and all the great rods that you've built for us and at auction and so forth. So, if you're out there looking for a custom fishing rod of any type, please check Tom out at Chippewa Custom Rods. Tell us the website one more time, Tom.
crcustomrod.com.
crcustomrod.com. Anyway, brother, we appreciate all you've done.
I appreciate the organization. It's been an honor and a pleasure all these years, and hopefully for many more to come.
All right. So, well, let's go to that community dinner. How about that?
All right. Sounds great.
Thanks a lot. Good night, everybody.
To learn more about the mission of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at wwiaf.org or follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to the WWIA podcast and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.
If you like what you're listening to here and would like to join our team in our mission to bring healing power and recovery to America's Purple Heart heroes, please become part of our Sponsor a Hero team by clicking on the link in the podcast notes or by going to wwiaf.org/sponsor. That's wwiaf.org/sponsor. Our heroes need you now more than ever. Thank you.